everyone, you know that little box on the side of your house? The one that's supposed to measure your electricity? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the smart meter, and you might be surprised by the hidden network that's actually powering your home. Let's dive in. All right, let me just ask you something. Have you ever gotten your utility bill, looked at that number, and just thought, is this for real? Is this just a guess? For decades, it kind of was just a guess. Seriously, your bills were often based on estimates, not what you actually used. And yeah, as you can probably imagine, that caused a ton of headaches for pretty much everyone. So that brings us to the old way of doing things, what we can call the age of dumb meters. This was a time of manual readings, where close enough was the name of the game. But spoiler alert, close enough really wasn't good enough at all. I mean, just picture it. A person from the utility company had to literally walk up to every single house to read the meter. It was super expensive. You might have had to take time off work for an appointment, and what if they couldn't get to your meter? Bam, you got an estimated bill. But the worst part? Nobody, not you, not the utility, had a clue what was happening in real time. You couldn't manage anything. So how did we get out of that mess? How did these little boxes finally learn to talk? Well, let's follow the story of their evolution, from a person with a clipboard all the way to a completely automated, super intelligent network. Okay, so this timeline lays it out perfectly. It all started with that manual reading we talked about. Then we got a little smarter with walk-by tech, where someone could use a handheld computer nearby. That got even better with drive-by systems, where a truck could just cruise through the neighborhood and slurp up the data. But the real leap forward, the game changer, is that last one. AMI, or Advanced Metering Infrastructure. This is where the magic happens. It's a fixed network where the smart meters just automatically beam their data right to the utility, no people involved at all. Now, this is probably the #1 question people ask when they hear about this. If this thing is constantly talking, is it hogging my Wi-Fi? And the answer is a big, fat no. Absolutely not. Smart meters do not use your Wi-Fi. They don't touch the public internet, period. They're on their own private secure network that belongs to the utility. This picture here shows you exactly what's going on. See? Your meter sends its signal to a dedicated tower or collector, which then sends it to the utility. Your home Wi-Fi is completely out of the loop. So, no, it's not going to slow down your Netflix binge. And hey, if your internet goes down, your meter just keeps on working. No problem. Okay, so if it's not Wi-Fi, then how in the world are they communicating? Well, there are a few different methods, but let's break down the 3 main technologies that make this whole hidden network actually work. All right, this chart is super helpful. First up, you've got RF mesh. This is cool. The meters actually talk to each other, passing the data along like a little bucket brigade until it hits a collection point. It's perfect for cities where everything's packed together. Next, you have cellular. This is just what it sounds like. Each meter has its own little cell modem, like in your phone, and it calls home directly. This works great for suburbs or rural areas. And then there's power line communication, or PLC. This one is really clever. It sends the data signals right over the electrical wires that are already there. In fact, this is the main way they do it over in Europe. Okay, so we've talked about what these things are and how they work, but the big question is, why? What's the point? What's in it for you? Let's get into the payoff.
Honestly, the change is like night and day. We go from bills that are basically a shot in the dark to bills that are dead on accurate. We go from being completely blind about our energy use to having real data that lets us take control. And this is a huge one. When the power goes out, you don't even have to call them anymore. The network knows instantly, which means they can get to work fixing it way faster.
And hey, what's good for the utility is actually good for all of us. I mean, they save a ton of money by not sending people out to read meters. The system is more secure because it can spot tampering. And with all this new data, they can manage the entire grid so much better. And that's the real takeaway here, right? A more efficient utility means a more stable, more reliable power grid for everybody.
All right, but whenever we talk about sending data around, there's always a big elephant in the room: privacy and security. And these are super important questions, so we're not going to shy away from them. Let's tackle this head on.
These are the things people worry about, right? And they're totally fair questions. Who's looking at my energy data? Could a hacker get in? What personal info is it broadcasting? Can somebody use this to figure out my daily routine?
Okay, let's be crystal clear on this. The only thing the meter sends is energy data. That's it. We're talking kilowatt hours, voltage, that kind of stuff. It is absolutely not sending your name, your address, or any other personal info. That stuff only gets connected to the energy data after it's safe and sound inside the utility's secure system. It is not flying through the air.
So the security here isn't just one thing. It's got multiple layers. Think of it like a fortress. First, there's data minimization. They only collect the bare minimum they need. Then, encryption. All the data is scrambled up using the same kind of tough encryption your bank uses. Third, remember the secure network? It's not on the public internet, so it's way harder to access. Fourth is local processing. A lot of the nitty-gritty data is handled right there, and only the important totals get sent along. And finally, mandatory deletion. Once the data served its purpose, it has to be deleted, gone.
But this whole thing is so much bigger than just getting an accurate bill. We need to zoom out for a second, because smart meters aren't just an upgrade. They are a fundamental building block for the entire energy grid of the future. And this image of the puzzle piece? It's the perfect way to think about it. Every smart meter is a single piece that connects our homes and businesses into this massive, intelligent network called the smart grid. It's that constant stream of data from all those little pieces that allows the whole system to be smarter, faster, and way more resilient. So what does that future actually look like in practice? Well, it's a grid that can actually handle renewables. Like when the sun is shining or the wind is blowing, it can use that energy intelligently. It's a grid that won't collapse when everyone starts charging their electric cars at the same time. And at the end of the day, it's a more stable grid for everyone, and it opens up all kinds of new ways for us to save energy and money. And that really brings us to the final big idea here. For 100 years, how we used energy was basically invisible, right? You just used it, and then a month later, a bill showed up. That's it. But smart meters change everything. They make the invisible visible. So the big question isn't about the tech anymore. It's about what we do with it. Now that you can see it, now that you have more control, how are you going to choose to see it? Thanks for tuning in.